Extrasensory perception with modern scientific view. English translation of Y Kam Voi Gok Nin Koa Hok Heen Dai. What is extrasensory perception? Extrasensory perception is the connection and sympathy between people and invisible phenomena. If it is invisible, it is difficult for people to perceive with the 5 basic senses in human daily life. So now many people have a very simple concept that everything that their hands can't touch, their eyes can't see, their ears can't hear, their tongue can't taste salty, sweet, sour, spicy, etc., and their noses can't smell fragrance or rot, then everything that happens outside of those 5 basic senses, they all think is not real, is paranoid. So when it is said that when a person dies, their soul still exists, they think it's superstition. On the contrary, those who think that death only loses the visible part of the body, and the invisible soul will exist in space. They hope in the future science will explain and prove what the human soul is. So these people think there is a 6th sense, and a 7th sense. The 6th sense according to live science. This sense has the English name proprioception, which is the perception that many people call premonition. And the 7th sense is considered telepathy, i.e. in the spiritual field. The above 2 contrasting conceptions, which always go hand in hand in human life, have at times turned into fierce conflicts and antagonisms, especially in the 19th century. And lasted until the end of the 20th century. In the last 2 decades of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century, new science discovered and revealed that the human soul is electromagnetic waves. At the same time, science has also confirmed that humans always emit electromagnetic waves into space to connect and sympathize with other electromagnetic flows that persist in space. Ladies and gentlemen, the 21st century is the century of science in the invisible field such as electric waves, sound, light, and so on. So every time you want to criticize or refute something that belongs to an invisible phenomenon, you must review your own level of scientific knowledge in the 21st century. And at the same time reconsider your general knowledge of the laws of operation and transformation of all visible, metaphysical, and invisible phenomena in the universe consistent with new discoveries of science? Failure to properly evaluate yourself will lead to mistakes and be counterproductive. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that the great scientist Albert Einstein still made a huge mistake when he argued with Niels Bohr about the electron. He said that the electron is an atomic particle with volume, mass, and measurement, while Niels Bohr said electrons are electric waves, invisible. That debate, until 1982, when Alain Aspect successfully conducted experiments on 2 holes of electron, and officially confirmed that electron is an invisible electric wave, and the victory went to Niels Bohr. At that time, Albert Einstein had been dead for more than 27 years. But still received the failure judged by science. I think this is also a warning example for posterity to look at in general, when criticizing invisible spiritual phenomena. Ladies and gentlemen, today's sharing is a continuation of the content of the video. Difference between cremation and burial funeral from a modern scientific perspective, published October 18, 2022. In that video we shared that science has deciphered the human soul as an electrical waveform, in which there are negatively charged, positively charged, and electrically neutral charges. To distinguish the level of extrasensory phenomena. In the last time we shared about the case of extrasensory perception with a positive charge. This time sharing about the case of psychics of negative charge, or electrically neutral charge, and also based on scientific basis, according to the following mathematical formula. A is the telepath's electromagnetic wave system emitted in the convective atmosphere in space. B is the martyr's electromagnetic wave system circulating in the convective atmosphere in space. C is pure electromagnetism in the martyr's bones still in the ground. The telepath's electromagnetic current A will connect sympathetically with the martyr's electromagnetic wave B because it has the same formation and properties. The martyr's B electromagnetic current will connect and store with the martyr's pure electromagnetic C because it has the same physical substance when he was alive. Thus A sympathizes with B. And B sympathizes with C, so A also sympathizes with C. This conjugate sympathomimetic connection helps A to know C's bones in the ground, of course, nothing difficult to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed relatives, 40 years ago, science discovered and unraveled electronegative electrons moving around the nucleus, including proton and neutron. When electrons move freely in a certain direction, an electric current is generated. It points to particles with more or less electrons to balance with the positive area of the nucleus. To determine the negative charge, positive charge, or neutral charge. The next discovery was that in 1982, Alain Aspect did an experiment on 2 holes of electrons successfully, and confirmed that electron is an invisible wave. It will appear when there is a good follower, or the observation of people. It is this person or device that has replaced human consciousness, or the electric wave emitted from the sensor, i.e. the sensor of the device, causing electron from invisible waveform to become visible, which is matter that appears. The word no turns into yes. This passage is taken from the page of Vo Thuong Thua Phat Gao Buddhism that we have mentioned many times. The 2 cases mentioned above are scientifically discovered about the relationship of humans with electromagnetic systems in space. In 1982, then just 10 years later, in Phu Bai Village, Tui Phu Commune, Hong Tui, Thua Thien Hu. Our ancestors have taught and helped us by further increasing their electromagnetic currents that exist in space, connecting with my brainwave system and giving myself a current. Synthetic electromagnetic energy with high positive charge, to transmit that electromagnetic flow through space, penetrate into the being of a person standing next to him, causing that person's body to tremble, convulse, decay, and lying face down to the sky. That was the case with Uncle LHS, the same first brother as me, happened on July 1, 1992. This incident I have presented in articles and videos in the past time. The second case is that strange scenes appeared during my short-term meditation on the night of July 15, 1992 at the Vin City bus station, to ask the superior for advice and directions for me and Uncle LHS to perform the procedures tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, my 2 brothers and I just followed the scene and the instructions that night, and at exactly 10 a.m., we found the ancestral source according to the instructions of my patriarch. We talked about this with our cousin out there, and it turned out very well. Until 2019, a nephew out there attended the inauguration ceremony of the La family in here, and said that some of our cousins out there had passed away, because of their advanced age. So in 2021, I made a cover letter with the title 2CAM. The content presents each case in detail, and reflects very honestly on the exchange processes, with the aim of letting future generations, the La family out there and the La family here, understand the meaning and noble values that the forefathers' generation did in the past. However, the sad thing is that about Uncle LHS, he is my brother who is the same as me, has followed me in my filial work to find the ancestors' roots. My uncle is also the one who has experienced a real phenomenon at the temple to worship the village god at noon on the 1st July 1992. From July of that year to July 2022, 30 years have passed. Yet Uncle LHS, there is not a single article to tell that fact. Maybe it was for some special reason, which I couldn't say. As for the truth, it happened. So Uncle S followed me to Nguyen to find the source. If you listen to 2CAM's poem, you will understand. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have shared many times, science now has enough tools to assess real or fake spiritual phenomena, such as people using real spiritual meters or just made lies, magnetic field meter, radiation meter, and then put in the key positions on the brain of an individual we need to test. It is necessary to do it at the right time. In addition, we can use true sympathizers to identify false sympathizers. In short, nowadays people have been enlightened by science, so everything is real, fake, and easy to know. Therefore, we ask that if there is anyone who wants to learn about the historical truth or the spirituality of them, our village, or ours, please reflect very honestly. I think it is also a good gesture to repay the ancestors and grandparents. Finally, I wish you, ladies and gentlemen, good health, clear wisdom, and all the luck in life. Welcome. Fula and Fuang Go. The USA. November 4, 2022. Next is the reading of my poem, Tu Cam, published on August 16, 2021 to honor my uncles and relatives of the surname of Dean Cat, Dean Chow, and Nagian. Autumn Emotions, English translation of Tu Cam. Dear uncles, aunts, relatives La Dean Cat, Dean Chow Nagian, I remember forever. Autumn of that year, the full moon day of July 1992. According to the ancestors' teachings, on the way to Hon Chow of the old Nagi province, now as Dean Cat, Dean Chow, to find the origin of the ancestors from Phu Bai. Thua Thien Hu, out to Nagi, Dean Chow, Dean Cat, just 36 hours later, find them exactly as the patriarch taught. Through detailed presentation, mine and my cousin followed. Like the children here, astound your uncles and aunts, ask why you know, you must speak clearly to your uncle. That I have calculated in advance, the land of Nagi is the cradle of the revolution, scientifically explained. I have carefully presented the following: the human soul is an electric wave emitted from the brain into space, then encounter another electric wave, of ancestors, grandparents existing in spatial systems. Sympathy tells us everything: past, present, future. This explanation is sublime and confusing. I thought I failed. Wow, that's wonderful. And Empathy, by Professor Le Van Hao, the person who studied abroad in the former Soviet Union. Regarding quantum physics, the words I present are science, because in the Soviet Union at that time, great scientists are studying, find Lenin's voice, existing in this space. Some uncles are silent. I must present more phenomena. People communicate with each other, through the flow of brainwaves of the same system, quantity. Or sympathize with the deceased, to hear voices, or see pictures. Know the good, avoid the evil. Some uncles continue to say, in 2 wars, against foreign invaders, uncles, through experience, having heard the voice of Mrs. Ancestor, help to escape the Great Tribulation, on the march, or on the front lines. Especially Uncle Lanak Bao, on the way to the battlefield in the south, meet the second-year calves spreading the carpet. The unit was in chaos for days and nights. In my sleep I hear voices. The 14th lady only drew lines. Let uncle find the unit. This epiphany is believed by most. So Uncle Dong. Acknowledgement of 2 surnames having the same blood. Joy and admiration, as your uncle's clear wisdom, from personal experience. Meanwhile, the knowledge I gained, thanks to grandparents, ancestors, taught through sympathies. Dear uncles, aunts, relatives. The story of empathy for the past 29 years, thought quietly into the past. But it has actually become the truth. Thanks to the great scientists, discovered and proven specifically. The human soul is the aura, when associated with other currents, remains in space, will transform into tangible objects, which smartphone, it's a proof of that. Dear uncles and aunts. Today is Hoi Nyat Mr. Sauta. I offer my heart's perfume, First is the remembrance of the merits of heaven and sea, of ancestors and grandparents, then the great good news, about wisdom so wonderful. Of the old sympathizers and uncles, now it has become truth. Vin Han knows how many descendants of the surname Le, Dean Cat, Dean Chow of Nagi. Finally, I would like to wish all my uncles and aunts, relatives, and all grandchildren all the best, and pray that they will soon escape the pandemic flu, so that they can return to a peaceful life. Best regards. Fula, New York. 16 August 2021.